morning and welcome to the People's Resource Center Technology Tuesdays. I'm Robin O'Neill and I'm a volunteer here at the People's Resource Center, and today we'll be talking about Google Drive and Google Docs, and I'll be going over a short PowerPoint presentation. Then we'll look at two short YouTube videos, and then we'll actually go out and look at the Google Drive itself. So what is Google Drive? Google Drive is not new. Some people still aren't using it. It was created in 2006, and what's wonderful about Google Drive is that it gives us lots of things and they're totally free. We get free storage for all of our photos. We get free word processing, free spreadsheet and presentation software, and it's web-based, welcome, meaning that no flash drive is needed. So how can you get Google Drive? If you have a Gmail account, you already have it. So many people have it and they just don't know. Or you can register in minutes if you go to drive.google.com, and you can use any email address, and the registration probably takes about 1 minute. So who uses it? I wrote this out for you if you want a copy of this handout when you leave the room. But in the past, when you worked on a project during the day at work, if you wanted it to finish at home, you would have to email and attach it and send it to yourself, or you would save it to a flash drive. So now, all you have to do, because your Google Drive is web-based, is sign on, log in, and upload that file, and then you take it home. You open up on your computer and you can continue working on the document with no flash drive at all. Example number 2, students are all using Google Drive and Google Docs because it's just easier. In the past, what you would have to do is email your paper to a teacher, and they would have to send something back to you, and it was just so time consuming. So now, with the click of a button, you finish your paper and you type in the email address and it sends it automatically. So it drastically saves time. Example number 3. In the past, if you wanted somebody to look at a presentation that you had made, or a Word document, or something in a spreadsheet, you would have to send the documents back and forth to get their input. Now, all you have to do is click on a share button, and you can send the document to them, and you can both work on it at the same time. Now, that may seem a little cumbersome, but those who have done it said it really works, and it works well. So it truly is a time saver. Publish to the web. This is wonderful. Years ago, you had to go through your the server, and now any document that you have, whether it be word processing, anything from the spreadsheet, presentations, they can be published directly to the web with a click. So when you're saving it, all you do is click Publish to the web, and it'll give you a link, and it goes. So it's wonderful from that sense as well. All right, so how do I get Google Drive? You may have noticed if you use a Google browser that when you click on Google, you get these little dots, and sometimes they're 4 across, 4 down. And what that is that's actually Google's world. So if you use Google Maps or Google Play Store or Google News, they want you to see their entire little world. So as soon as you see that, all you have to do is click on it, and that's where you can pick up the Google Drive. Okay, uploading files. This is wonderful. This is what technology should be. When you open up your drive from any computer, you can upload anything that is saved on that computer. So if I have files in this classroom, such as the homework that students from the People's Resource Center would do, they can open their drive, upload the homework assignments, and then take it and open it at home and do it. So they can upload files and individual folders. So no more missing homework. And I'll be glad to show you how that works. Okay, so Google Docs. Do you think that you can write your PhD dissertation on Google Docs? Probably not, but it's the 80-20 rule. Most people just want to get work done, and so they can do almost everything in Google Docs. Can I do a glossy brochure in Google Docs? No, but you would use Publisher or something else. But you certainly can use it for many other things. key points is that it's web-based. You sign in just like an email, no flash drive. When I was coming here today, sometimes when you're leaving, you'll say to yourself, well, I have to take something with, like your bag or your keys or your phone, and you'll look for your flash drive and you don't need it because it's web-based. So that's the wonderful part. It can be accessed from your iPhone. As soon as you see the little dots for the Google apps, then all you can do on your phone is just click on that, and it's wonderful for viewing information. If you're running into a meeting or before you want to just check some data, you can open it on your phone. It's a little bit harder to edit on your phone, of course, but what you can do is view and then go to a tablet or your computer, whichever is easier. This is the wonderful part of Google Docs, and it's called a form. And the nice thing about the form is when you send it out, the technology will update it for you. So for example, you're having a family reunion, you create a form, and it's really easy, and you ask the recipients, give me your last name and your first name, how many people will be attending our wonderful reunion, tell me if you'll be staying at either of these hotels. And then what you can do is one of two things. You can create that form and take the link and embed it in your Facebook page or Twitter, or you can simply key in the individual email addresses and send them the form. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. It's really easy and it's wonderful. And then what the spreadsheet will do, instead of before in the past, if someone was coming, you'd have to look on all of their individual email responses and who's coming and who's not. Now you simply open up this spreadsheet and it'll be tallied for you. So it's really nice. They also allow you under Google to pick a theme. And so the third example is you're holding a meeting. You create the form with everything you need. You email it out and watch the results be tabulated. And with that, I'm going to have us go to our first video.
Google Docs forms or Google Drive forms or just Google Forms, they're all the same thing. Are a great way to create a survey, an online survey, and get instant, easy results. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm already in Google Docs or Google Drive, so I'm going to click on Create, and then I'm going to go down to Form. So this is a brand new interface. Google just launched it probably in, I think, February of 2013. So it makes it even easier to create one of these forms. We're going to do an ice cream sundae form, just as an example, ice cream sundae survey. And I'm going to go ahead and choose something celebratory and choose birthday balloons. And so my first question is going to be, what kind of ice cream would you like? Now for this one, I'm going to go ahead and have multiple choice. So you can choose vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry. And we'll go ahead and we'll give the option to add an other choice as well on this one so you can see how that is. Do I need, is this a required question? In other words, do I need for my respondent to answer this question in order for the form to be valid? Sure, we'll go ahead and make that a required question. And I'm done with that one. So now they will not be able to submit their form unless they have, because of that little red asterisk, unless they have answered this question. Let's go to our next question. What kind of syrup would you like? And we're going to make this a multiple choice also. We are going to offer hot fudge, caramel, or strawberry topping. We're not going to give them another option in this one. Actually this time I'm going to make it optional. They can have, why don't we say, no syrup. And then finally, any additional toppings. And again, we're going to make this one more multiple choice, and we'll offer the choice of peanuts, almonds, or my wife's favorite, rainbow sprinkles. Now, for this one, we're going to offer them a choice to have more than one. So I'm going to do check boxes instead so they could check. And I'm also going to put in the help text, check all that apply so that they can choose more than one. And I'm going to be done with that. So there's our survey so far. And then finally, if we're doing an ice cream sundae party and we want to make sure that everyone's sundae is all ready to go for them when they arrive at the party, I'm going to go ahead and ask for first name. And we're going to make this a text box. And then their last name. And we're going to make this a text box also. And then finally, I would like your profound thoughts on ice cream sundaes. So if people want to get philosophical, we're going to give them a paragraph text with which to respond there. And you notice there's a bigger box there. And so now, show the link to submit another response. I only want them to submit one time. Because we're involving first and last names, I don't want them to publish and show a link to the results of this form. But if this were just a survey, like an opinion survey, then we would go ahead and click that box. Allow responders to edit responses after submitting? Sure, we'll go ahead in this particular case. If they want to go back and change any information, they can do that. And I'm going to click Send Form. So now I have this link, and I'm going to go ahead and copy that. That's a Command-C on the Mac, Control-C if you're on a PC. And if I wanted to, I could also embed this. It would give me HTML code to embed it if I wanted to embed it into a blog or into a Google site. In this case, I just want to send this link out. So you can send this out via Twitter. You can send it out on Facebook. You can send it out via email. You copy and paste this link, and then we're done. Now we go ahead and send this link out, and what people will see on the other end, when they click on this link, this is what they're going to see, is the form. And so what kind of ice cream? I want vanilla with hot fudge, and I think I would like peanuts and rainbow sprinkles. Here's my name, and I love ice cream sundaes very much. I could go on since I have more space to do that. I'm going to go ahead and click Submit. Your response has been recorded. I could have edited that text if I wanted to as well. Do I want to, as a respondent, do I want to edit my response? I get that option to do that, but I think I'm done. So I close that. And so that's what your respondents would see. Now you notice that instantly we got feedback, and let's go ahead and let's look at those responses. This is the best part about Google Forms, is it puts all the information into a spreadsheet. So I can see the time that that person submitted their entry, and I see all the data right here. I can go ahead and sort that data now. I can sort it by time submitted. I could sort it by the number of vanilla scoops that I need. I could sort on any of these. I could sort by last name. It's really up to you. So with Google Forms, there's really a lot that you can do with this. You can create applications, online applications for your club or organization. You can create a survey form. So many different things you can do. The possibilities are limitless. So enjoy using Google Docs Forms, and thanks for listening.
That's wonderful. I really enjoy that, because that is actually what technology should be. It should really help us, and often sometimes we spend a lot of time trying to figure things out, and it's so simple, and yet it's so powerful because it does so much. The next thing is I have a short, this is about an 8-minute YouTube on the actual Google Docs. And then when we're finished, I'll open up mine and I'll show you mine, and then we'll conclude the session. And if anybody wants help, then I'll be glad to do that. For this YouTube video, he goes a little quickly, but the purpose of him going quickly is he really wants to show you all the things that you do know. You already know so much, and it's just under maybe some different tabbing or in little different places. So he's going to go a little quickly, but don't worry about that, because we'll pick it up on the end and go more slowly.
In this lecture, we will take a look at the basic aspects of Google Docs. So the first thing to do is make sure that you're signed into your Google Drive account. Once that's done, what I would recommend first is setting up a series of folders. It's good practice to make sure that your folders are created as your content gets going. So I've got a bunch of folders created already, and what I'm going to do first is go up to the red New button in the upper left-hand corner and click on it. So to create a folder, all I would do is click the plus folder button, and a pop-up would come on my screen asking me what the name of that folder should be. I'm going to title this folder Course Documents, or Course Docs for short. Then click Create. It'll take just a second and make a new folder called Course Docs. It shows who it's created by and when it was created. Then over on the right-hand side in that information panel, it will also tell me any of the activity within that particular folder. For now, I'm going to pop that details off the screen just by toggling the little eye icon in the upper right-hand corner. Then I'm going to go back to that new button and I'm going to scroll down right to the middle and create Google Docs. It's going to take just a second and load the Google Docs application. As you can see, it looks very much like a simple word processor, and that's essentially what it is. But there's no software to download. As long as you have a browser and an internet connection, you can create new Google Docs and work within the word processing application right in the cloud. So the first thing I would recommend is coming over to the upper left-hand corner of your document and titling. Give it a new name. It's something that's relevant to what the document's going to be about. So I'm going to call it Course Doc 1 Intro. Obviously, you could call it whatever you'd like. Then I'm going to click OK. Now, a little bit about the basic screen orientation. Next to the course document, you can see there's a star. Very similar to what we saw in the Google Drive introduction. The star here will add a favorite into a special folder within your Google Drive that allows you to access this particular document more frequently. To the right of that, you'll see a little folder icon. If you don't like where the document is placed by default, you can always change it here. Or, like the document folder we just set up before, I can click this folder icon and move that document to my new Course Docs folder that I just made. So even without closing the document, you can move it to a different folder. If I find that I've put that document into the wrong folder, I can choose Move to Folder again and pick a different one. Just by hovering my mouse over the folder icon, it can tell me which folder that document is currently in. So just down below the Course Doc Intro title, the star in the folder, you'll see the basic Google Docs app drop-down menu. Now this should look familiar to just about everybody who's used a word processor in the past. From the File menu are some options that you would expect, like New, or Open, or Rename, or Move to a Folder, or Move to Trash. But there are some other options that are implicit to Google Docs. For example, at the top is Share. Down towards the middle, you'll see an option called See Revision History. Again, we will talk about revision history. If you have the need to change the language of your Google Doc, you can certainly do that. And down towards the bottom, you have some download options. You can download it and convert it into a docs format, ODT, rich text, PDF, plain text, or even as HTML. You can also publish your content to the web. And again, we will talk about publishing and sharing options towards the end of this lecture. But just so you know, at this point, you can download these documents if you needed to print them or email them. You can publish them to the web for other people to see, or you could share them and allow people to edit and make changes to your document. You can also choose page setup to do landscape or portrait orientation, and then also print, just like you would from Microsoft Word or Pages. From the Edit menu at the top of the screen, you have Undo and Redo, of course. And you have Cut, Copy, and Paste. You have items that were stored to the web clipboard. You have Select All, and then Find and Replace. Very similar to what you'd see in Microsoft Word. From the View menu, you have some basic options about showing the ruler, the equation toolbar, spelling suggestions. You could compact the controls, and all that does is change the general layout of the screen. To get those controls back, you could come over here to the double-headed arrow on the upper right-hand corner and click that, and your menu bar would come back again. From the View menu, you could change the print layout mode to editing or suggestions or viewing. And again, we'll look at those when we get into some revisions. From the Insert menu, you have some options as to items that you could insert, like pictures, links to outside resources, equations. Using a basic equation editor, Google Draw, you could insert a table, insert footnotes, and the research pane is going to be particularly helpful, and we'll look at that later as well. Any special characters you would need, like trademark symbols. You can also insert page numbers and page count, page breaks, headers and footers, very similar to what you'd see in a traditional word processor. But again, all of this is done in the cloud right in your browser. From the Format menu, you've got some simple formatting options. And one of the drawbacks you'll find about working in Google Docs is that there are limited formatting options. There isn't the ability to upload all kinds of crazy fonts that you might want to use in your Google documents, but there is a good variety of font and formatting options that you can use, but it is limited. So you've got some paragraph styles that you can either create on your own or modify the existing ones. You've got things like alignment for left-centered and justified, line spacing options, certainly creating numbered and bulleted lists, and then clearing any formatting from any text to go back to normal text. As you can see, they're grayed out here, but if I had an image, I could crop it, replace it, or reset the image sizes. And then also add alt text to an image. If you're familiar with how web pages work, alt text is the text that would appear when you can't see the image or when you hover over it with your mouse. And then of course at the top, the basic formatting, bold, italic, underline, strike through for editing, and then superscript and subscript, of course. From the Tools menu, you have a couple of options that are very helpful, especially within Google Docs. First is spell check, and spell check with suggestions, define and word count certainly. But then you have a unique feature to Google Docs, and that is the research pane. I'm going to click the research pane here just to pop that out and give you an example. Over on the research pane, you can use Google search to do some research right within your Google Doc. You can search for everything, images, certainly Google Scholar articles, quotes, or look up in the dictionary, anything on your personal G+. So right within Google search, if I wanted to find out some more information about ancient Egypt, if that's what my paper was on, I could do a simple search, and within a couple of seconds, it's going to give me some basic web results. So if I found an article that I wanted to use, I could insert a direct link here. I could preview the website just by popping out what that website looks like. I could insert a link into my document, or I could use the Cite button to start a citation. And what you would see here is that not only did Google Docs put a number 1 after my resource, but it also started to add a footnote. If I collapse all these research panes and I scroll down to the bottom of my document, you'll see that it added a citation automatically where this citation occurs within the text. So the research pane is very helpful. One of the other helpful add-ons that you can use within Google Docs is EasyBib, and you'll see that as a bonus lecture here in this section. As far as the rest of the controls go, up in the Tools menu, you have the ability to translate the document into another language, and you can certainly set up some interesting preferences here about how to create auto text options similar to what you would do in Word. The last two menus here, first of all, add-ons. You can search the Google Marketplace for some interesting add-ons, one of which that would be helpful for teachers and students is EasyBib. If you're familiar with EasyBib, it helps you create automated citations, similar to what we just did with the research pane, but in a separate document. And you can manage add-ons or remove other add-ons. The Help menu will give you access to Google Docs Help, all kinds of different tutorials within Google's platform, and you can also look at the number of keyboard shortcuts that might make your life a little bit easier managing your documents. Right down below the drop-down menu are some tools that you should familiarize yourself with. And this is probably one of the biggest issues that people have with Google Docs, is simply that the icons aren't exactly the easiest to recognize. So as you go across, you've got the print icon, undo and redo, paint format, similar to what you'd see in Word, where you can highlight a block of text and then match the formatting. You have zoom for the document, you have the style for the text that you're currently working with, you have the font, and again, it's a limited number of fonts, but there's still a good amount of variety. And down at the bottom, you can search for more fonts and add them as needed. Font size, and of course, you can type a number in here instead of picking one of their formatted numbers. Shortcuts to bold, italic, and underline, text color, and highlight color. Here you can toggle between those two. Insert a link, insert a comment, which we'll talk about in another lecture here, and then the More button, which gives you options for left, right, center, justified, line spacing, bulleted lists, certainly indent, decrease indent, increase indent, and then, of course, clearing the formatting. Then just below the Tools menu, you have the ruler, and similar to Microsoft Word or Pages, you have the ability to change the indents, change the margins, just by using different components of the ruler. So I just changed the indent and changed the margin. If I wanted to make that margin skinnier, I could do that and change the right indent by dragging the arrow. And those options are also available right within the Page Setup menu. So you have Page Setup, Portrait, Landscape, and then over to the right you have Margin. So that will do it for the basic screen orientation for our Google Doc.
All right, and I got my information in a book from Ian Lamont at Google Drive and Google Docs, and that's available through the libraries. And so that concludes this part of the presentation. I'm going to run out now and take you through my actual Google Drive, and we'll spend a few minutes there and take a look. All right, so what I did is I'm going to minimize this just for a minute. when I go out to call it up, I just go to any browser, whether it's through the internet or Google Chrome, whichever one you'd like to use. And if you then put in Google, if it's not already there, and this one is, you'll notice it up in the corner. This is exactly what we're looking for, because that's where we pick up the drive from. These little dots, that's Google's world, so to speak, and they have lots of nice things. So notice this is all Google. If I wanted to do a search, if I wanted to go out to their Play Store, and they have some free things, other things that you can buy, Google News. Many people use Google Maps, Mail for Gmail, and then the Google Drive. So I'm going to click on the drive. And when I click on that drive, it'll ask me to sign in, and I already did that. So all it does is ask me for my login and password. And notice that I'm not in the mail. If I want to go to my mail, then I go back up to the Google Apps, and I could look at my mail. So in this case, I could go back out, and I could pick up the mail. And then I'm on the mail side of Google. Then I could go back up to the apps and come back where I want to pick up my Google Drive. What's really nice about the drive is everything that you have here is yours. So it's not like you're on the hard drive of a computer where we have lots of files and folders that don't pertain to you, or they pertain to the software that the computer is using. So everything here is yours. And what's really nice over on the left, you can have a special spot for things that are shared with you, that is, somebody sends you something. So they click on the share button and it would be in that place. Google Photos, which is the free storage. Anything recent that I've used, anything that I think is important, I can star. And I can just drag and go right into the trash, which is nice, because then you can keep everything nice and clean. So it looks much neater. So the most important button over here, if we want to change from icons, just like the regular view on other things on your computer, I could choose list view, or I could choose an icon view. I can sort it from A to Z. If I want to know something about a special folder or anything, if I click here and then click on this little I button, it'll give me some details about that. I created this on January 23rd. This is what it is. And so it gives you a little information on it if you were looking for something. So the most important part of the Google Drive is this button over here, and that's what the gentleman said earlier in the presentation, and that is when I click on this new button, I can create a folder, I can upload a file or a whole folder. Now you have to have the latest browser for it to pick up the whole folder, otherwise you do the files individually. And so the Google Docs is their word processing, the Sheets in the Google Slides. Google Slides would be Google's version of PowerPoint, and the spreadsheets would be their version of Excel or their brand. So when I want to upload something, I just click on File Upload, and this is the really fun part because it just makes it so easy. I'm going to go out and pick up some of the homework that the students at the People's Resource Center, when they take the computer classes, will be asked to do. So I go out and I'm going to go out to my documents through the dialog box, and this is in alphabetical order, so I'm going to go out to the Training Resources folder. I'm going to do a double click there, and I'm going to go out and grab an Excel file, and I think I'll take this 1.1 auto file home. And I'm just going to click I click on the file and then click open, and then watch the lower right corner of my screen, because here it's telling you it's uploading and it's done. Isn't that wonderful? So that file is already up, and it was 1.1 auto. So I'm going to go to the top and look for that 1.1 auto. 1.1. Here it is down there. So I'm going to close out of this and then open up 1.1 auto. And notice when it comes in, it looks black. It's on a black screen. And that's because that's the view of it. So if I were looking on my iPhone and I wanted to just check information before I was going into a meeting or I was going to talk to someone about a detail of something, when I open it up, it's black. It means that that's just the view. It's for viewing. But if I want to go in and edit or work on the sheet, I have to click up here, the little Open tab, and it said Open with Google Sheets, and that's right. I want it to open in a spreadsheet. So one is to view. Now I could go in as the icons are loading, and I could work on this sheet just as I would in any spreadsheet. So that's what's wonderful. It's everything about it is free, and I can go in and edit, make changes, anything that I wanted to on that document. And it's the same with any other upload. Anything that's saved on this computer, I can simply upload the file. Now the other thing too, when you're done with this, it will save automatically, so you don't have to look for a save button. I can close it out. But notice here is the share button. If I wanted to share this, I would just click on share, and it will come up with a little share box, and I can share it with others by entering their email address. But make sure here that you click, do you want them to edit or do you want them just to view? So you want to make sure that before you send something out on Twitter or Facebook with a link that you have whether you really do want it to be there and if you want them to edit or view. But that's the nice thing. And instead of in the past where you'd have to save it, you don't have to save it here, it does it automatically. You would have to attach it. You don't have to do that here. All you have to do is key in their email address and it will be sent to them. And then if they send something back to you, it will be under the shared part.
So if you have to send to 50 people, you have to put in all their email addresses?
Yes, and if you had a lot, like if you were doing something, there is a way that you can create a group under your mail so that you could then use that group and click that in. All right, so that concludes today's session at the People's Resource Center for Google Drive, and thank you for coming.